So again, I've got the marketing methods of how I can contact this person. They are willing and receptive to receive email. If I were to go out and send them an email from this system, it will send it out to them. I can add them to a marketing list, and they'll receive my information. If I wanted to, when I send out the email, at the bottom of the email, I could automatically put in an unsubscribe link. They would be able to click that link. It would come back into the system, automatically check this button, do not allow, and they would not receive any email from me. So we have a little bit of automation built in there to say I do want to receive or I don't want to receive. And it's really an interesting metric that I think a lot of people ignore or discount a little bit to be able to put that in there, because if we have outreach for our customers and we send a regular newsletter as we do, and they say, hey, I don't want to receive this anymore, it's going to automatically come back into the system, and I don't even have to think about it. So my customers can automatically unsubscribe from our newsletter. That's great. But what am I going to do with that information? So what I might want to do is I might want to come in and take a look at this email field, and when this gets updated, I might want to send an alert, because maybe I have an unhappy customer. And so what I would do is I would go in and write a workflow saying, when email gets updated to do not allow, alert the account manager or alert the owner of this record to say, hey, we just got an email, or we just got a customer that says they don't want to hear any information from us. And maybe it's a happy customer, maybe it's an unhappy customer, maybe it's an indication that the customer is going to go somewhere else. So it is an interesting metric that we should pay attention to. I've got the subcontacts and the contacts that work for the account. I can see that Alex works for the account. If I come down to the sales features here, I've got my opportunities, quotes, orders, and invoices. So let's take a minute and talk about these. My opportunities is the ability to sell to this customer. So I've created a new lead, and it's going to associate with this account. If I open up the opportunity, I can see the information that we talked about before, estimated revenue, estimated close date, and probability. So I can take my user-provided information, and I'm going to set the estimated revenue and say this is a really big opportunity. We're going to have a $150,000 in potential revenue. I'm going to select an estimated close date for this, and this is just based on my initial meeting. I think we'll put it out at about 30 days. So we'll just say the 17th of June. I'm going to put a probability of 10% initially, and they are warm. So I have just created, by updating these fields, a pipeline with my organization. The pipeline will exist by running the opportunities pipeline on the reports feature. It's all built in already to manage this. But more importantly, what I've done is I've started to put some structure or some methodology around a sales process. And this is, again, where workflow can really come in and affect us, because I can start to add things to this that will update my probability. So if I look at my weighted probability for this opportunity in June, I'm only seeing $15,000 because I've got a probability of 10% of closing $150,000, so my weighted probability is only $15,000. What I really want to do is update my probability. I want to go to 20, I want to go to 40, I want to go to 90, and I eventually want to go to 100% probability that I'm going to close $150,000. And so we talk about sales process. How do we update the probability? Well, we update the probability through the qualification process. And as we all know, the qualification process, while it's different for every organization, has a number of standard things that are part of it. Some of those things are a contact with the customer that's going to result in a signed contract. A signed contract is going to have goods and services defined in it, goods and services that are going to be accepted. A PO is going to be issued. Once that all happens, our probability is going to go up. So there's a lot of features in here that we can build in. We've got the ability to add products to our opportunity. We've got the ability to add activities. We can add in customizations to this form specific to our sales process at our organization. So we may have a field that I would add in here, and I would just put it right on the top, and it would say PO issue date. And that field is just going to be blank until I get a PO. And I can say, the PO issue date is X. Once I update the PO issue date, it's going to come in and automatically update my probability to 40%. Oh, it might even be higher than that. I have a PO. It would probably be 85%. So I've got the PO issue date. The next one might be my PO number. So I'll have a PO date, and I'll have a PO number that I'll receive. And I should receive those very close to one another. And once I receive my PO number, I'll update my probability to say 95%. So I'm there. I've got my PO issue date. I've got my PO number. I'm good. So I've just described two fields that we could add that would automatically come in and update our probability through workflow. But think about what else we can do. See, I get a PO issue date, and I get no PO number. And I get no PO number for the first day, for the second day, for the third day, for 7 days. Well, that's really interesting because I'm missing something in my sales process, and either my sales manager is not doing a good job closing this opportunity, or they're not going to send us the PO. They may have called and told us the PO was issued, but until I have the PO number, I don't have anything that I can do again. So I need to escalate that. So again, what I could do from a workflow standpoint or from a Salesforce automation standpoint is say, if I don't get a PO number, X amount of days after receiving a PO date, I need to escalate this, and I need to start calling the customer and making a visit out there. Once I go ahead and I add products to this, I'm not going to do this today. I can add price lists. I can do all the other things that would qualify this. I can create a quote, an order, and an invoice. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the quotes, orders, and invoices and how they're used. I'll open up the quote form. Typically what we do is we see organizations that use quotes, orders, and invoices tied into an ERP system. And Microsoft Dynamics CRM is not designed to work as an order or an invoice or an ERP system. It's designed to work as a CRM system that can be integrated into a back-end ERP system for quoting, orders, and invoices. So when I do a quote or an order or an invoice, I'm going to do these either in CRM or I'm going to do those into my ERP or accounting system, and then I'm going to tie them in. And typically what we see is we see quotes that are created out of CRM. So I may be given the privilege or the ability to go in and create a quote like I've opened up. I've got a quote from my potential customer of Acme. I'm able to put in any existing products that I have. I'm able to put in quote products, and I'm going to take in, I need to add a price list here. So let me put in my default price list. Oops. So I'm going to add a default price list, the U.S. price list, and then I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to be able to come back and put in my products, and I'm going to be able to add quote products here. So I'm going to have products that I can add to it. These products on an integrated system will, again, live within my accounting system. So if I try and maintain them just within my CRM system, I'm going to have a disconnect between my accounting system. So typically you're going to see them integrated, but we're going to have the ability to create the quotes directly within the CRM system. Once we get down to the quotes, we're going to go ahead and print the quote out for the customer. We're going to have an action that's going to follow up on the quote, dates and times since the quote's been sent. Then it's going to come back in, and it's going to be realized as an order. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky because, like I said, we want to be careful when we separate the lines between CRM and an ERP or accounting system. And orders are most of the time, and I say most of the time, I'll come back and qualify, are done in the accounting system. Not to say that we can't do them in the CRM system, and the split tends to be about a 60-40, maybe a 70-30, where the accounting system really takes over at this point in time. So I may create the quote in CRM. I may fire that off to the customer. I may fire that off to my accounting system. Once it comes back as approved, at that point in time, we're going to go in and we're going to do an order, but typically the order is going to come out of the ERP system, and we're going to be able to see the order, and it's going to be reflected in the CRM system. I may be able to edit it, I may be able to change it, but at this point in time, the record is owned by the accounting system. Once it gets down to the invoices, almost all the time, I would say probably 95% of the time, the invoices are coming from the accounting system, not this system. While we can go in and create a new invoice, it's a disconnect between the ERP system. So what we would do is we would see invoice reflected here after it's been created and gone out from our accounting system shown as read-only. So we wouldn't even see this button on a truly integrated system because at this point in time the accounting system is managing this. Why do we do this? Why do we have the accounting system? Why does this not connect? Well, part of it is a feature. We have Microsoft Dynamics CRM, which is an ERP agnostic system. It integrates very well, obviously, with the other Dynamics products, Solomon, AX, Navision, and GP, but it can also integrate with any other accounting system. So we can take this and put it in with Oracle. We can put it in with JD Edwards. We can integrate it with QuickBooks. Any of those systems we can integrate with, and then it will reflect data in here. The system is not designed to do sometimes what I would say almost simple things, which is quantity on hand. A more complex thing would be a sales tax or a VAT tax calculation. Those items are specifically designed to work in an accounting system, and we want to offload that function from CRM into accounting. So I'll go ahead and close this out, and I'll go ahead and close this out. And I've come back to my account screen, and you can see that I've got the opportunity. I've estimated my revenue, so it's updated that. And I can come back, and I can, again, take a look at any of the workflows that I've built and fired. I don't have any workflows that fired for this. But if I wanted to come back in, I could look at my administration. I could open up my originating lead. I open it up, and I can see any workflows that fired for here, and there was one that fired. And this was the lead qualification process that I talked about that created this phone call activity that's waiting to happen. Now, I qualified this lead much sooner than it needed to get done, so it's been done. What I would do is I would come in, and I would say, I'm going to go ahead and save this as completed. I might go ahead and put some notes in here saying Alex called and we closed, and then at that point I would see quotes, orders, and invoices going through from it, and I would be able to close that off. And now it's gone from my lead. When I come back into my account and I look at my activities, I will not see any when I hit refresh because it's gone.